Hello chums, this one is a bit different to usual. Update 1.55 brought several things with it, many of which are being covered by other channels, from the new physics changes to the adjustments to the steering wheel controls to the new pretend Formula 1 car. However, I wanted to draw some more attention to the Toyota C-HR. While most of the GT Planet forums were collectively moaning about this addition to the roster, I was actually looking forward to it. The reason is that it has always been a staple of the Gran Turismo series since the very beginning to feature boring family cars that have no business on a racetrack. Another staple of the series is to give us players the opportunity to turn that boring econobox into a supercar-beating track monster. The Toyota C-HR, for better or worse, is an example of today's family car, even if it is just a Corolla that's worse in every way. Basically, I was looking forward to dumping 200 grand into it and sailing past a Lamborghini. The purpose of this video, frankly, is to grumble like a sulking toddler about how the implementation of this car could not have been worse if Polyphony tried. The CHR, which in this case clearly stands for crap and hardly raceworthy, has a few different engines in the real world. There is a 1.2 litre turbo 4-cylinder with the option for a manual gearbox, and it has 113 horsepower. There's the 1.8 litre hybrid WeGot, which has 138 horsepower and only comes as a CVT. There's also a 2 litre hybrid with almost 190 horsepower combined. In some markets, the 1.8 and 2 litre engines are also sold without hybrid assistance. Plenty to choose from then. You could use the 1.2 litre turbo, which will have some decent upgrade potential and will likely be the lightest of all the engine choices, and it would have a conventional gearbox. Or you could fit the biggest, most powerful engine like the 2 litre. Nope, we get the awkward middle child. Not only that, Polyphony have decided that hybrids cannot have many power upgrades, and that Toyota hybrids have CVTs which can't be changed. For reasons. So, we've got easily the worst engine choice in the bag. How can we make it more stupid? How about upgrade potential? Oh yes, this is truly where the CHR has confuddled me. Gran Turismo 7 allows the player to spend frighteningly large sums of money on some very humble cars to beef them up. The 2017 Suzuki Swift Sport is a great example. Its turbocharged 1.4 litre engine makes 137 horsepower, almost identical to the CHR's 138. After dumping several life savings worth into it, it'll make just shy of 400 horsepower. To be exact, that's an extra 261 over stock, almost 3 times the original output. So what about the Toyota? After we've spent hundreds of thousands on it, does it add another 200 horsepower? Maybe 237? No, 37. Just 37. The Toyota goes from 138 horsepower to a knee-trembling 175. So, after hundreds of thousands of credits, the Toyota has the power to match a 1997 Honda Civic. Actually, scratch that, turns out it doesn't, because the CVT gearbox, which may I remind you cannot be changed, keeps the revs at 4,500 RPM. Peak power is made at 6,100 RPM. As a result, the CHR never actually makes 175 horsepower in practice, meaning that bone stock 1997 Civic will actually pull away, rather easily in fact. Better still, the top speed of the CHR is just over 120 miles per hour, a speed that can be matched by a diesel Golf. So, worst engine? Check. No upgrade potential? Check. Gearbox that nerfs the power even more? Check. Right, we've established it's one of the worst ever additions to the game, but then Polyphony blindsided us with possibly their most troll-worthy act yet. The aero parts. Look at this shit. This utterly batty-looking thing has 175 horsepower, meanwhile the 1000 horsepower Lamborghini Urus gets some subtle lip kits. You've got something that looks like the aerodynamic package from a Pikes Peak hill climb car on a hybrid that ironically can't climb hills. Throughout all of this moaning and crying, the question in my mind has been this: who is this car for? Who is this appeasing? Gran Turismo is a game that gives peasants like us the chance to simulate driving their dream supercar, as well as the opportunity to beat them with a clapped-out Civic that's had a mortgage dumped into it. This Toyota does neither. As much as I'm aware that everybody has different tastes, I would like to think nobody has ever had a CHR at the top of their wish list. That's fine, a Toyota Hiace van isn't exactly dream car material either, but there ideally needs to be something interesting about it to compensate. The van, for example, is capable of 500 horsepower, and that's without the engine swap. This plastic tub has no potential. It's too expensive to be a viable starting car, even if you were to ignore GT7's idiotic career mode structure. It's barely viable for the 550 performance point Japanese Clubman Cup races once it's fully upgraded. And it hasn't got a hope in hell of being useful for any of the established grind races. So where does this car fit? What purpose did it serve to add it to the game? I'm not going to guess at how long the developers spend modelling each car because different sources say different things, but surely they had to know that the time and effort spent beautifully recreating this soulless appliance would be completely wasted if there was almost no situation in which this car could actually be used. How many people are going to buy this car in the game, upgrade it, drive it once, if even that, and discard it once they realise how shite it is? So, I've wasted my time and yours grumbling about what Polyphony did wrong. What could they do to this car to make it better though? Well, a turbo kit and a transmission swap would be the simplest option, and I would suggest the same for the Toyota Prius and the Toyota Aqua. Can't be that bloody hard, can it? The thing is, even if they did add an engine swap to give it more power, we'll still be stuck with the CVT if they didn't allow the transmission upgrades. I don't know. Usually Polyphony makes some odd choices, but this is honestly the one that has confounded me the most. Do you agree? Do you think the CHR was a waste of time? If you worked at Polyphony, what would you do to improve it, or what would you suggest to improve it? Or perhaps you like it. Maybe you think the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the lack of events it's eligible for was more insulting. Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching me shitpost on a crossover for 10 minutes or so. If you agree, why not subscribe so that you can watch videos of engine swaps that are totally unrelated to this video? Take care of yourself, and ta-ra.